Howdy, peeps, and welcome to another episode of Talking Paranormal with the Old Man. And as usual, I am the old man. I'm feeling much better from last week, so it shouldn't be a problem. Throat's good, not coughing, so I should be okay. Of course, I probably just jinxed myself, so we all know how that goes. So I hope you all had a good weekend. It's finally starting to warm up here in Michigan. It's supposed to be this upcoming Thursday and Friday. It's supposed to be in the mid 60s to near 70. That's like heat wave for us, especially this time of year. Hope you all remembered to change your clocks ahead. Remember, spring ahead, fall back. So we all lost an hour of sleep, but hey, we get more daylight. I don't know if it's worth it, but it is what it is. All right, in this episode, I'm calling this Anatomy of a TV Show. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about our TV show that we were on, A Haunting. It's the episode's called The Attic, and it's season 3, episode 2. It first aired. I want to say that it first aired on Discovery Channel. I believe that's where it first aired, and now it's on. I don't know. It's on. I think it's on History Channel. Reruns, of course, and I know, of course, it's on YouTube. So if you get a chance to see it, it's called The Attic, A Haunting, Season 3, Episode 2. So not everyone has an experience, paranormal groups, of being on TV. And, we've been on a TV and we've been on a DVD. So I thought I would, tell you a little bit about the experience that we had in this, how it got put together, how it got taped, how it got filmed, and the whole, as they say, the whole enchilada. No, no pun intended. So let's start out. Basically, the investigation that we did was a house in Pontiac, and like all the other, like I guess people in our group or homeowners that I have talked about, to not bring attention to themselves, I will either not mention a name, not their real name, obviously, or I will make up a name and go from there. So in this case, I will probably make up a name because there was two people involved. And again, if you don't know about this, the back history of it, you won't know who these people are. So, and again, privacy, I'm not trying to bring attention to anybody or anything like that. So, or unwanted attention. So, this was in 2006. So it's been a few years ago. We were doing a radio interview out of Detroit, and just the usual questions, what we did, blah 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 blah. Well, it so happened that the homeowner of this house in Pontiac was listening to this radio interview, and they were having problems in their house. And I don't mean problems, like major problems, but small things that were happening, here and there. So, and I do believe that some things are fate, that it was meant to be. And I think this investigation was one of those that was meant to be. I mean, the timing was there. She had talked to her sister about finding someone to come in to help them, and she just happened, of all the radio stations and all the times, to tune into that radio station at the time that we were on. You can't say anything except for fate, because if she would have tuned to a different station, if she would have tuned into the station that we were on, but she tuned in after the interview, she wouldn't have heard it. So I do believe, I don't want to say there was divine intervention, if you will, but I think it was meant to be for us to do this investigation. So let me just, I guess, get into the house itself, what they were experiencing before I get into the actual filming of the TV show and what happened with that. So, like I said, they they had, well, actually, the homeowner had bought this house, and she had moved into it, and she had a small child, and she had a dog, and she had a parrot or a parakeet. Either way, she had a bird in a cage in her house. And some of the things that were going on, her son was experiencing things, and there was some things from the TV show that did not, or I'm sorry, there was things from the investigation that were not included in the TV show. So I will do a little bit of, extra features that you get on DVDs now. So you'll have a little bit of extra features that was not included on the TV show that nobody knows about. So, and you're about ready to, find that out. So we set up a time. We actually, they contacted us first. Obviously after they heard the radio interview, and we talked to them at length about what was going on. And some of the things that she said was going on was, well, the first thing is they tried to smudge their own house. And if you're not familiar with smudging, it's basically you get incense and you go around the rooms and you smudge and you try. And the purpose or the ideal is to get any unwanted entity or spirits out of your house, which is fine. However, if you don't know what you're doing, you can actually cause more harm than good. So, I mean, basically, what you see on TV, when they go and clean the house, in the name of Jesus Christ, I command you to leave. Okay, well, there's a couple of problems with that. Okay, a spirit, if he or she did not believe in God when they were alive, they probably don't believe in God after they have passed. So they're not going to really, take much stock in the name of Jesus Christ, get out. And basically, if a spirit does not want to leave, or I guess if you want to take it one step further, can't leave, they're not going to leave. Plain and simple. It's not going to happen. So they tried smudging their house, and you know things got worse, which you could have anticipated that, but they weren't aware of that. They read from a Bible, the prayer passages and the incense, and like I said, it got worse. The activity got worse. Well, like I said, a lot of this stuff was centered around her son, and he was young. I don't remember how old he was, but I want to say he was like 4 or 5 years old. Well, one of the main things that he would do is he would wake up in the middle of the night, just screaming his head off, and we're like, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? Well, he couldn't articulate, and I know that's a big word for me, articulate. But he couldn't, tell his mom in words what he was experiencing. Well, we found out later, I guess, before we came to the investigation, is that there was a spirit up in the attic, and you know, and our episode is called The Attic. So kind of put two and two together, kind of thing. So the attic was the whole upstairs, well, the whole top floor of the house was the attic. So the attic was the whole upstairs of the house was the attic. So, and there was a stairway off the hallway, in the house that went up to the attic. So her son was saying that there was a spirit that was hanging upside down, and when he hung upside down, and again, I know you're gonna say, dude, what have you been smoking? But I'm telling you, this is 100% true. The spirit would hang upside down from the attic, come through the ceiling, so only the child could see him, because children can see things that we can't. We have a saying that your imaginary friend might not be imaginary, and I think that's a good episode for a future podcast about kids and pets that can see things that we can't and how they react. We've done investigations where pets have seen things. Our pets have, cats are freaking crazy anyways. They're, batshit crazy. And when we had our cat, when she was still alive, she would like stare at stuff and like, follow things, around, with her head that we could not see. So I think that's going to be a future podcast. But anyways, so and she said that her son would wake up crying because he would wake up because the spirit was screaming at him upside down from the attic. I know that sounds crazy as hell, but it it happened. So that's what one of the things that got us out there. And there's other things too where things had turned up missing. They heard voices. Now there was one part of the TV show that I don't remember happening. Her son got a fever or had a fever, and they took them to the emergency room. This was on the TV show. Now I don't remember that happening or being told about that before we went for the investigation. I mean, it's possible. And, we've done hundreds of investigations, and if you've ever done investigations, they all basically blend into one big ass investigation. So I don't remember that being told to us, but it was in the TV show. So we set up a time and date for the investigation, and we go there, and it's kind of funny, but it's not kind of funny. And I'm not making fun of the homeowner at all or her situation. But when we called them to tell them that we were close by, that construction had slowed us down and we were a little bit behind schedule, she said, "Okay, I will remove the mattress from the doorway that leads up to the attic." And we're like, "Okay, why does she have a mattress in front of the door that leads to the attic?" And we're like, and I mean, I'll be honest, my first thought was, does she live in such a bad area that they have to put a mat? I mean, it just didn't make any sense. Well, we found out later that the reason why she did that was to prevent the spirit from coming down from the attic through the door and on the stairs. Well, I mean, we are aware of this, but some people might not be. That spirits are not. What was that word I'm trying to think of? They're not restricted to like a certain area. Sometimes they are restricted to a certain area, like they can only stay in one room, or they can only stay whatever for whatever reason. Well, this spirit had free reign of the house. He could basically go wherever he wanted to go. So having the mattress in front of the door to the attic, I mean, it made them feel better. The homeowner and her sister, it made them feel better. But in reality, it didn't help anything. So when we got on site, we did a fast tour of the house, and we went downstairs, and it was kind of funny because we had one of our team members was with us, and we were upstairs in the kitchen, and our team member was downstairs in the attic. I'm talking downstairs in the attic. That really makes sense, Brad. You can tell the hour change. I lost my hour sleep. Oh my God. Okay, she was down in the basement by herself, and we heard her scream, a god awful scream. So we ran down there, like, what's going on? What's going on? And she goes, "There's a spider." I'm like, Jesus Christ. Okay, let's get this investigation started off right. So a spider is what made her scream out. So we continued, and basically our when we go on site, we take readings, base readings with our EMF meter, temperature meter, just to see if we have readings that are baseline readings. So during the investigation, if we have an EMF spike or a temperature increase or whatever the case might be in a certain room, we can look back on our notes and go, okay, when we did our walkthrough, we got a EMF reading of zero point 0.2, and now we're getting a reading of zero point 0.3 or zero point 0.4, close enough together. So it's probably not anything paranormal. EMF can be caused by anything, and that's electromagnetic field can be altered, and that's what the EMF meter detects. That could be a computer, a fan turning on, refrigerator, a bad outlet, a power box behind the wall. Any of this stuff can set off or give you false EMF readings, so you really have to be careful. So after we did our whole walkthrough and everything, we we set up our equipment and stuff. And there is something that happened upstairs in the attic. We had well, one of the original members of the group before me and Brenda took over was there with her brother and a friend. I believe it was a friend. And they were upstairs in the attic. And the attic, like I said, was one big room. So it wasn't like it was broken down, into different parts of the attic. It was just one. When you came up the stairs and got off, you came off the stairs, turned to the right, the attic was like right there in front of you. So they had set up a camera, and the brother's friend that was, in our group, he was a skeptic. He was skeptic. He didn't believe in any of this stuff. He was just there to humor our, team members that brought him there. And that's basically it. So he was a skeptic. He told us from the start, I don't believe in any of this stuff. I'm here because of him. Yeah, I'm basically here. So during the investigation, we were about halfway through the investigation, and the and I'm using my air quotes here. The skeptic came running down the stairs from the attic, went through the front door, and he opened the front door. It wasn't like the Kool-Aid man where he barged, broke through the door. He opened the door, walked out or ran out, and he spent the rest of the night during the investigation in the van. He would not come back in the house. So I asked our team members, I go, what did he see? And they showed me the video that they had taken, and I asked them for a copy of the video. I did not ever receive it because that would have been cool to air. You know how they have these, paranormal shows, paranormal call on video, whatever, 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 and they'll have, actual investigation footage. Well, we don't have that. I asked for the copy 2 or 3 times, or just, a copy of the clip, email it to me. I didn't hear anything back. So, and I don't have the clip. So, unfortunately, I don't have the original clip. But from what they said was they were all three of them were behind the video camera, looking through the viewfinder or the LCD screen on the camera, and looking into the attic, or the space of the attic. And they said that a ball of light, orb, came out of the wall on the far wall to the left. It was three-dimensional. It wasn't like it was because if you have a flashlight in the dark and you turn it on, you will see a beam, or you will see the circle of light on the opposite wall, or on the door, or on the floor, or on the ceiling, whatever the case might be. If you have a passing car, now keep in mind we were on the second floor, so there's no way that a car's headlights could have gotten at that angle through the windows because we were too high up. But in a ways, a car headlights will be the same thing. It will show on the wall or show on the ceiling, whatever the case might be. Well, this light, it's like I said, came from the wall on the left, three-dimensional. It was in the room, in the air, without anything. It wasn't like strings holding it up or anything like that. It was three-dimensional. It had dimension to it, and it went across in the middle of the attic. Like I said, it wasn't showing on the wall on the other side of the attic. It was in air. It was in midair, and it went across, like I said, from left to right, and disappeared out the other side. Well, like I said, he freaked out. He did not come back in the rest of the investigation. So that was kind of, in my opinion, that was kind of humorous, anyways. So that was, halfway through the investigation. So we made contact, medium wise, spirit wise, whatever you want to call it, down in the actual basement. It seemed what so basically what we found was there was a homeowner, the previous homeowner. He had a daughter. He had a family. I believe he had a daughter, well, a wife and a daughter. I think he only had one kid, and he had a drug issue. So that caused tensions in the house. Before the person that contacted us, before she moved in, that caused tension in the house. Well, the daughter and the person, the husband, her dad, they had a fight, and she had left the house, and she said, "I hope you die. I hate you. I hope you die. Drugs are more important than us. I hope you die." Well, that night he OD'd on drugs, and he died in the basement of the house. So his spirit was still there, and we did eventually get him to cross over, but it was that tension and that kept him there, and the daughter felt like crap because she says, "I hope you die," and he did die. He eventually died of an overdose, and it was that night, after the fight, and she stormed out. He OD'd that night, so she felt guilty because of what happened. So we gave our report to the homeowner, and we have been in touch, and we are, I guess, I don't know if you will call us friends, but we are still talking to each other, I guess. We did a couple years ago, we did a fundraiser in Pontiac at the Art Center, and my idea was, okay, what's the best way to have to show something that we have when it was in Pontiac. So we did a fundraiser. Like I said, we showed our copy of A Haunting in Pontiac, and the homeowner and her son was there. And they, after I talked and we showed the actual TV show, they came up in front of the audience and talked a little bit more in depth about what happened. What happened. Well, like I said, there was two things that were not included. They did depict the spirit hanging from the attic or from the ceiling in the attic, screaming at the kid, but just briefly. And there was two other things that they did not even touch at all in the TV show. And one of them was, they had, like I said, they had a pretty good sized dog. I don't remember what breed he was, but he would pace. There was a hallway from the living room to the stairs to the attic, and he would either pace that hallway and bark, 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 or he would be in the living room facing the attic door and just bark, 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 bark. And then they had like I said, they had a bird. I don't remember if he, like I said, if he was a parakeet or a parrot. I don't remember. But the bird, the poor thing, I felt sorry for him because he was in a cage in the living room, and he had lost almost all his damn feathers because of the activity in the house. He was scared of the activity in the house, or the spirit in the house. And I don't know if the spirit was tormenting the poor bird, or whatever, scaring the poor bird. But the poor bird had lost almost all of his damn feathers, and I felt kind of bad. I mean, I felt bad for the homeowner and her son, but I kind of felt bad for that bird too. Poor thing. So that was our investigation. Now let's fast forward really fast. Well, not really fast, but let's fast forward to the TV show. Let me get a drink of tea real fast. Okay, so we got one of our team members had gotten an email. I think it was the production company that handles the production for the TV show, and they wanted to know if we had any investigations that we would be interested in sharing. Well, I mean, I don't know about you all, but TV was not our first ambition when we started doing our investigations. But I mean, I won't lie. I'll be the first to admit. There's the old saying that there's no such thing as bad publicity. So I'm thinking, our thinking is, okay, if we can get investigations either on TV or our interviews, whatever, it might bring us more investigations. So we didn't start the group, or take over the group as our aim to be on TV, but if the opportunity arose, why not, right? So he had sent me, so our team member had sent me the email. So I responded back, and she had emailed me back, and she goes, "Do you have anything scary?" And I think I had touched on this before on one of the earlier podcasts. it's all about that. They want scary stuff. They don't want, your average haunting, where just things move. They want like scary stuff where people will like jump in because it's so scary, attack, that kind of thing. We all know 99% of our investigations are not those types of hauntings or activity. It's just not. It's just not. It's your I call them your run of the mill hauntings. It's like you might have a spirit in the house that's someone's grandmother that's still there, or someone the past owner that's still there. They're not causing any harm. They're not causing any stress or anything. They're just there. You might see things moving occasionally. You might see a glimpse of a spirit, but that's it. There isn't anything scary about it. Well, they wanted scary. So this episode came to mind only because of her son who had the experience where he was being scared, basically, not to death, but he was being scared, lit- literally being scared. So they said, yes, we want to do this one. And I'm like, cool beans. And we set up a time and a date for them to come to our house. Now, again, and I have mentioned this before, so you're looking at an hour TV show minus commercials. It's only like 45 minutes. Only 45 minutes of a TV show. Now we did the we did the interview here at our house, and if you were to know our house and seen the episode of the attic, you would not know that it was our house. We had I was being interviewed, Brenda was being interviewed, and our other team member who was there, not the one that was with her brother and their friend, but the other team member was here also, was at our house also, and they did three interviews with us. So that they would interview, me for like an hour, hour and a half. Then they interviewed Brenda for an hour, hour and a half. Then they interviewed the other team member for like an hour, hour and a half. And they would set up in between takes. The take they had with me, if I remember correctly, was in the living room with the kitchen as a backdrop, and we had, I think, this was a long time ago, but I think we had one of our old radiation meters, one of those big ass ones that yellow, the big, like 3 or 4 pounds. I believe that was on the counter. They wanted to prop behind us, and the other team member, she was being interviewed in our living room in front of our fireplace, and Brenda, I believe, was in the hallway. She was in the hallway with the hallway leading to our bedroom as a backdrop. So, and they had to set up, the sound and lighting for every scene. So so it took an hour or so to set up in between each scenes. Now, granted, like I said, it was a only a 45-minute TV show. They were at our house for 10 hours. 10 hours they were here filming us for a 45-minute TV show. Now, they also went over they met the homeowner and her sister in Pontiac to interview them also. Excuse me. Because you have to realize that, so, so I'm a little bit ahead of myself. So, Ray was the on site producer that was here, and we had Brian was the sound man. And I don't remember, I'm sorry if you're listening to this, the camera guy. I don't remember his name. So Brian had a big old, audio kit that hung around his neck, and he was, doing all the, you know, treble, bass, and all that kind of stuff. And in our living room in the corner by the TV, they set up one of those big lights, like it has like an umbrella with a light. And then Ray was the on-site producer. So Ray was in the corner of our living room, and the camera was facing us, whoever was being interviewed. And he had like a TV screen in front of him. And he said, when you are, talking to me, look at the TV screen. Don't look at me, look at that TV screen that's in front of me. So that's what we did. And when we first started out, he's like, okay, dude, he's like, you're gonna have to wear blush. And I'm like, oh, dude, man, I ain't wearing no freaking makeup. And he goes, Brad, your cheeks are reflecting back too much light to the camera. You have to wear blush. And I'm like, dude, I ain't wearing no freaking blush, man. There's no freaking way. And he goes, do you want to be on TV? I'm like, well, of course I do. That's why you guys are here. So long story short, I wore blush, and it's dude, it's like I see it now, and it's like god awful. It's like, they say that a TV show adds a few pounds. No, shit, no, dude. It added like 25 pounds all in my face. It's like, oh my God, every time I see that, I cringe because it's like, ew, I'm so freaking ugly. It's like I'm a freaking chipmunk that has food in my freaking mouth. Yeah, it was disgustingly gross. But anyways, that is what it is. And they did the actual the actual outside of the house and the interior of the house was not the house in Pontiac. A lot of people have contacted me after the show aired, and what house is this? I don't recognize the house. Well, the house was taped at a soundstage in Virginia. The interior and exterior was in Virginia. That was all taped in Virginia. So we had to basically recant the investigation because obviously Ray and Brian and the camera guy, I'm sorry if I forgot your name, they weren't there, so they used our interview. So basically, Ray asked us questions. What happened? What was your findings? Blah 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 blah. So our answers to that was made into the script or put into the script. So what you see on TV was us answering the questions that they had for us. And I'm sure they took, liberties on certain things and added certain things that we did not actually say. But there was one part where I asked Ray, I'm like, can we get Brad Pitt to, portray me? And he chuckled. He goes, we don't have a budget for Brad Pitt. I'm like, oh well, that's really too bad. So the dude that they got to portray me doesn't look a thing like me, man. It's like the dude had no freaking well, he had some hair, but he was like premature balding. I still have a good head of hair. So a little bit disappointed with who they picked to portray me. And the dude had a big ass like leather watch band on his wrist. I wouldn't have been caught dead with that watch on my wrist. But you know what? I didn't pay the actor, so I guess I have nothing to say. So, and we live in town, and there was two or three times where Brian, the audio guy, stop, 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 second. I'm picking up a car outside, so cars going by, boom, 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 coming from the audio system, boom, 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 boom. So there was like two times or three times that we had to stop to let that car go by. We had to God, this is a true story. We had to unplug our refrigerator because the humming sound was being picked up by Brian's audio system. Our son has well, he still does. That turtle is going to outlive all of us. Rocky, he's a red ear slider. He's going to outlive all of us. His tank was in the living room. I think it was in the living room. No, you know what? It was in our son's room. It was in our son's room, which is right that shares a wall with our living room. He was picking up the filter for Rocky's tank. So we had to unplug Rocky's tank in between each interview because Brian, the audio guy, was picking them up. And of course, unfortunately, because we had to undo the filter, Rocky passed away. Nah, I'm just pulling your legs, dude. He's still with us. I use that joke at my presentations. I get like, oh, like I'm just kidding, guys. He's still alive. I guess he's gonna outlive all of us. Yeah. So, anyways, so that was basically what happened, and I think the show came out pretty well, and like I said, they were here for 10 hours. I made it for a long day, man, and it's like, and it wasn't strenuous by any stretch of the imagination, but and I'm not trying to sound like, oh, poor, poor you guys. No, but it's like it was draining. It's like I was falling asleep on the couch when they were interviewing the other team member and Brenda, and like not because I was bored of what they were talking about, but it had been a long day, and I think Brenda took a few closed her eyes to rest her eyes too a few times, but I mean, all in all, it was a very interesting experience. and they packed up and left after being here for 10 hours, and basically they had kept in touch with us, and they're like, okay, it's going to air. I think it aired like September. I'm not sure the actual day, but it was. I think it aired September of 2006 is when it aired, and I mean, I'm not, like I said in the introduction, the first podcast, I'm not one to hear myself talk or see myself on TV or anything like that. But it's like, this is like not everyone has this opportunity. So I watched, we watched it. We had family over. The person, the team member came over and we all watched it and stuff. And we are like, okay, pretty good, pretty good. Well, we had gotten like a week or two after it aired, we had gotten in the mail a copy of it from the production company. So we're like, okay, and not that we are so full of ourselves that we have to watch it over and over to make ourselves feel better. Hey, we're on TV, look at us. But it was like a day when there wasn't anything on TV, and and that happens occasionally when you go, we have a shitload of channels, and there's times where it's like there's literally not anything on TV. And it's like there's not anything that I want to watch on YouTube. And we stream. We don't have cable. It's high priced, and yeah, it's just high priced and few channels. So we have Freevee, and we have Hulu, Max. We have Tubi. We have Roku. So we have other options. We have it now. Back then we didn't have too many options. So we decided to pop in our copy of the TV show, and we're sitting here watching this, and it's like I looked over at Brenda. I'm like, I don't remember that scene. She goes, No, me neither. And about 20 minutes later, I don't remember that scene, and she goes, Me neither. So our our copy of the TV show had, and I'm using again my air quotes, it had a bonus feature that had extra footage that was not on the TV show that was on this actual copy of our show. So I thought that was kind of cool. I mean, there was like two scenes that were added on. Only one scene had us in it, and the other scene had the homeowner and her sister going to a psychic. And like I said, that wasn't in the original TV show airing. So that was kind of cool. We got and we can say we were in an added feature bonus footage. Not everyone can say that they've been on that. So that was basically the anatomy of a TV show, how it got put together, how it got filmed, and everything. Again, if you guys have any questions or have any ideas, on topics that I can talk about, feel free to email, or on the podcast, wherever you watch the podcast, feel free to leave a comment. Say, hey, dude, can you talk about this? Or hey, dude, I have a question about this. And I'll be more than happy to answer it. Like I said, I do plan on having some live podcast, probably from our open investigation in Bath in May. Probably going to do that. Um, I found out, like I said, we're like the Griswolds when we go places. So when we leave Roswell, we're going to Albuquerque, Roswell, and then Santa Fe. This will be in May. I found out. Now, I'm not a big fan of his or anything, but I found out that Billy the Kid, his gravesite, supposedly. Now, I guess there's a not a contest, but there's like questions whether or not he's actually buried here. Fort Sumner in New Mexico supposedly is his final resting place, but there's a I think it's Hico, Texas, is claiming also that he or they have the original or the burial ground or burial site of Billy the Kid. So either way, we're going to stop there. That's kind of out of our way going to Santa Fe, but who cares? We're in the area. So I might. I might do a live feed on Facebook there just because, it is a graveyard. It's the old Fort Sumner Military Cemetery, I think it's called. And he is buried there along with two of his pals that were also killed. And so, I mean, it's going to be interesting. So, I will wrap things up. I hope you enjoyed the episode here. The anatomy of a TV show. It's kind of like how the show got put together. Because, like I said, not everyone has the experience of this. And like I said during our presentations, I basically touch on this, but I don't have the half hour, 35 minutes to talk in length. So, and then Brenda always gives me the stink eye when I start talking about it. Don't drag on too far. So, then dear, I didn't drag on too far. It's on the podcast. There you go. So again, to quote the line from that one song, "Till we meet again." Again, we're still looking at Bath in May for a investigation. Check our Facebook page for times and all that kind of stuff. But as of right now, we still plan on doing it. Unless it rains, of course, then of course we ain't gonna do it because it's raining. Again, as usual, stay away from the light. Goodbye.